Welcome to another edition of Our City. We are taping this week's show on Valentine's Day, also Ash Wednesday, for all the Christians that are watching the show. I would like to advise you that at Thursday, February 22nd at 10:30 in the morning, I'm going to be with Our Lady of Guadalupe Academy's annual science fair. It'll take place in the cafeteria of the school at 227 Center Street. And you got to see some of these science projects that these kids do. Their parents are extremely proud of the work they've done. Later that evening at 5:30, the Greater Elizabeth Chamber of Commerce will have their after-hours business networking event. It will be held at Wee's Buffet at 711 East 1st Street in Roselle. And on Saturday, February 24th, I'm going to attend the Portuguese Lion's 39th annual anniversary dinner. This event is held in the basement room at Our Lady of Fatima Church in their banquet hall across the street. No, actually, it's in the church. So if you need any additional information concerning these events or any other events, please call our public information office at 908-820-4124. And please stay with us after these messages, where I'm going to talk with Bill O'Day, the Executive Director of the Elizabeth Development Company.
Why do we like it here? Let's just say the reasons are diverse. Kane University.
Welcome back to Our City, and I'm pleased to be joined by Mr. Bill O'Day, the Executive Director of the Elizabeth Development Company. Bill, welcome back to the show.
Always a pleasure, Mayor.
Now, you've been here before.
I've been here a couple of times.
Yeah,
yes,
tell us how many years you're now with the development company? 20-something, right?
25. This is my 25th year. It started in '93.
And how's it going over there?
I think it's going well. We've diversified more. We're doing more things related to job development and job training. We continue to do a lot of programs with loans. We continue to work with the city on a lot of the development projects that you have going up, from Jersey Gardens Mall to Midtown to the North Elizabeth train station area.
So your role at Elizabeth Development Company, it's a small company.
Yes.
Tell us about not only your role, but the makeup of the company and how we're doing things towards those goals.
So we've actually downsized over the last few years, part with funding cuts, especially federal funding cuts. We still run a good loan department. We have 2 staff people. We have a job development or workforce development department that we have 1.5 a full-time and a part-time person there. And then we have a project manager and a UEZ director.
And Bill, one of the things that we often talk about at Elizabeth Development Company is how you've been able to change the roles, and a little bit more of that. I mean, years ago it was more geared towards projects, but with the drying up of the federal money, there's clearly, you've had a change. So tell us how you've done that.
Yeah, I mean, we've focused now on a lot of loan development programs. So we work with a lot of companies that may be coming here, as well as companies that are here looking to expand their operation. And in recent years, we've really gotten more into workforce development. That is identifying companies that are looking to hire individuals, as well as identifying individuals who live in the city, especially if they're low, moderate income, people that have been out of work, people that have maybe in a reentry program, to trying to assist them to get the skills necessary to get back into the workforce, or to improve their skills to get a better job in the workforce.
And you mentioned loans, Bill, and one of the things the development company does is when you do a loan, have they been accepted by a bank? Is it a bridge loan with a bank? Tell us about how small companies can come about getting a loan from Elizabeth Development Company.
So we do everything with the CDBG program, which is funded through the city. We do a microloan program, which is more geared to startup businesses which would have, in the first 2 years, 5 employees or less. In those cases, we almost exclusively are the lender. Those loans go up to $20,000, and a portion of it, 20% of it, is forgiven. So someone after 5 years doesn't pay back $20,000, they only pay back $16,000. So there's a real incentive to that. On other loans, we try as much as possible. Although we do direct loans, we can do up to $750,000 in loans, but we do try as much as possible to partner with a bank. So if somebody had $1 million project or $1 million expansion of their business, they would put 15 or 20% equity in, and then we would let the bank and EDC come up and split the difference. So in that example, $400,000 from a bank, $400,000 from EDC. Sometimes we partner with a bank and EDA, or EDA and just EDC, but we try to spread.
And tell us how
spread
tax
it.
credits work in some of that situation, Bill.
So tax credits work, now we've just starting a program with employers where we are able to assist them in getting federal tax credits. So for instance, some of these things we've just learned recently, if you hire someone between the age of 18 to 39, you can get a federal tax credit of about $2,800. If you hire an ex-offender, you can get a tax credit of up to $3,000. Other categories, there are federal tax credits that individuals can get. So we're actually going to be doing a big seminar on March 15th to bring some of the larger employers in, as well as attorneys and accountants who work with businesses in Elizabeth, to educate them about that. And we're working with an accountant that will actually assist them for a small fee, 10% of whatever the credit is worth, in doing all the paperwork. And we will also work with them in identifying employees that they will be able to get the tax credits for.
And Bill, one of the things that came out in this new tax plan, this bill, most of it is really bad for New Jersey. But Senator Booker, in a conversation I had with him in D.C. and spoke with you right about it,
yes,
there's an opportunity called economic opportunity zones. And I met with the governor today to talk about it as well. So tell us what Elizabeth Development Company has done to prepare to put Elizabeth in position to get into the economic opportunity zones.
So Mayor, and you're right, you advised us and then we went to work on it. So an economic opportunity zone is a zone where it will allow for a deferred on capital gains. So if you've got a developer or businessman who's looking to defer paying the government money, if they invest in these zones, they will defer for 5 years any of the capital gains that they may have to pay in a given year. What we've done is, working with Ty Cooper from Governor Murphy's policy office, we've put together a list of census tracts, including the ones in the port, the ones in Midtown, the areas where Jersey Gardens Mall is and the hotels are, and then prioritize, I think, a total of 13 potential tracts.
But there's rules on the tracks,
Correct.
right? You can't just pick any tracks.
They have to be low mod income census tracts. So all the tracts we identified, except one, qualify. The one that doesn't, which is a little lower on the ranking system, I think you're allowed up to 5% could be not low income. But of the 13 we have, 12 of them qualify as low income. E-port area is another area that we've included a little bit farther down on that list. But again, getting in the port area, the airport area, the seaport area, Jersey Gardens and the hotel area, and Midtown is a great chance to get an opportunity for even more investment in areas that we've had, through your leadership, a lot of investment over the last several years.
And Bill, one of the things we spent time talking about is urban enterprise zones.
Yes.
That was part of my conversation with the governor today as well, was where are we going in urban enterprise zones? And you've been extremely diligent in not only crafting a policy to get the 5 towns back in that were thrown out, but a future legislation. So tell us about your efforts in that area.
So some of the ideas we're looking at, Mayor, is addressing some of the concerns that the state had raised. For instance, there were complaints about some of the ways some of the dollars were used, so they didn't want them used for municipal service. So under your leadership in the Mayor's Commission, the mayors have all agreed, okay, that's fine, we can live with it. The dollars should go more towards economic development, job creation, infrastructure related to development and economic development. So part of the changes that we envision in the law will gear towards that. The other big area kind of deals with the sliding scale of how the revenue is shared between the state and the cities. Under the Christie administration, as you know, we've got zero money for 8 years. In fact, it started, it's easy to beat up on Christie, but in fairness, it actually started a year or so before him. The state has every year in the budget taken all the money back. So the city hasn't gotten any of the dollars. But when we were getting revenue, we would get 100% of the revenue for 5 years, then we would get 2/3 of the revenue, then we would get 1/3 of the revenue, and that was a nightmare for Treasury to deal with all the different zones, but it was also difficult to plan. How do you plan when you know, this year I'm going to get $10 million, but if I got a project 5 years from now, I may only get $3 million. So what we've looked to do in the legislation is to maybe come at half. So whatever those dollars are, keep it flat. At the city gets 50% of the reduced sales tax, and the state gets 50%. So those are the two big changes, as well as looking to extend out the zones and let all the zones sunset at the same time. As you noted with those 5 towns, Newark, Camden, Trenton, among them.
Bridgeton and Plainfield.
They're out now. So right now they've had for 14 months a loss of benefits. There are projects in those towns that had not started construction yet that thought they were going to get the tax exemption on the purchase of materials and supplies that are scrambling and have economic problems getting projects done. So if everybody ends at the same time, we'll all be together and fighting in the future to make sure we find a way to keep the zones
And
extended.
becoming a certified UEZ business is a lot of legwork, not only from our staff, but we've worked with proposing a better way where they just check it off on their business form.
Yeah, it should just be a simple way of just checking it off on a business form now. So we hopefully that change occurs. You can go online now, it's a little easier, but we still have a lot of labor-intensive assistance getting businesses to certify as one. But once you're in, yeah, check it off on your form, and just note how many employees you have. It should take a minute.
The community mural,
Yes.
EDC worked with at the Miller Evans Logan Recreation Center. What was EDC's involvement, and how come you're not in the mural?
I missed that day.
You missed that
I missed
day.
that day.
Yeah.
I wasn't out
Your
that
staff's
day.
in the
They
mural.
were all in. I think I'm the only one that was out. I don't know. I didn't want to mess up the mural, Mayor. But what we did is we worked with Wells Fargo as part of the Neighborhood Revitalization Tax Credit Program to get them to come up with some dollars, and then worked with a lot of the neighborhood groups and your office and the other elected officials to just kind of get everybody together. It's really nice. I think it's a great testimony to so much that's gone on in Eport and the revitalization that's occurred in that neighborhood.
Where's actually Elizabeth Development Company located?
So we're now located, and we've been for a number of years, at 205 First Street. We moved from the Midtown area down to Eport as part of our investment in the continued revitalization of that neighborhood. We're right off the 24 bus route, one block up from Front Street and the marina.
And the workforce development programs that EDC is working on, do you track any of the success on some of the people who actually come in? And how do you know the program's succeeding when you get somebody a job?
Well, we do. We track placements. We also track people that complete the training programs and get certificates. We're doing a hospitality training program that's been very successful. A number of individuals got placed. A number of individuals completed the program, have the certificate. We're also looking to do one related to construction unions. In fact, on February 27th, just geared to plumber apprentices or individuals who want to become plumbers apprentices, either at 11 a.m. or 6 p.m. We'd like them to come, take a practice test for the test they take to get into the apprentice union, and we'll work with them. We'll give math and reading courses to prep them for the test. If they get into, we'll pay for the test. If they get into the union, we'll also pay their entry fee, which was almost $400.
And one other thing before we wrap up, the president has once again proposed a budget that eliminates community development block grants. Community development block grants have been around since the Nixon administration, but you've been very successful in using these in a micro loan program.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So I talked about that earlier. Micro loan programs are essential for small startup businesses in areas like Eport, in areas like Midtown. Most people wanting to start a small business have very difficult in accessing any capital. Our ability to get them a $15,000 or $20,000 loan, 20% of it forgivable, and giving them very favorable terms of interest only for a year, sometimes up to 2 years, is the difference between whether somebody starts a small mom and pop business, which could grow, and then never being able to go into business. So programs like that are just so essential, and if CDBG funding is cut, they'll go away, and a lot of these small startup businesses that are really part of our neighborhoods are not going to happen anymore.
So before we go, Bill, how's Hudson County doing? Because I didn't mention it, but you are a freeholder in Hudson County.
Hudson County's always doing well. We have a lot of issues with our jail that we're dealing with the health care, but we're always there working.
Bill, I want to thank you for all the work you do with the Elizabeth Development Company and
pleasure, man.
taking the time out of the schedule to come here today.
Always good to see you and
chat with
all
us.
the great stuff you do to promote development in the city.
For Bill O'Day, the Executive Director of Elizabeth Development Company, please stay with us after these messages, where I'm going to be joined by the new sheriff in town, Sheriff Peter Corvelli.
We're an American original, dependable, historic, nuanced, with all the comforts of home, even when you're just visiting. So we're celebrating for all that we've left untouched and all that we've changed. A place where the past meets the future. So consider this your invitation.
We've been celebrating here in Elizabeth for 350 years, and we're just getting started. Welcome back to our city, where I'm pleased to be joined by the new sheriff in town, Sheriff Peter Corvelli. Sheriff, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mayor.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
So you've never been on the show. Tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
A little bit about myself. I'm 46 years old, I live in Kenilworth, married to my wife Kelly, daughter Alyssa 15, daughter Riley 13. Started my law enforcement career in Rawway Prison back in '92, transferred over to Hillside in '95, retired as a sergeant, went over to the juvenile center in Linden for a year, transferred again over to the adult jail, and decided to run for Union County Sheriff.
Well, that's great. I mean, but you also were involved in elective office in Kenilworth, too.
Was involved in Kenilworth since '01 as a councilman, elected official.
So what do you like more, law enforcement or being an elected official?
Law enforcement by far.
Law enforcement by far.
By far.
So the sheriff, getting elected to being the sheriff, kind of combines two passions of yours.
It does. It does. Very rewarding, very fulfilling.
So you've been in law enforcement now for 26 years.
26 years.
Just started as a sheriff. You're also starting some new initiatives for the county. The drone program we were talking about before the show started.
We are.
How did you come up with that idea? What's it going to do, and what exactly is it?
In this day and age, with technology, we did a little research on the drones. A $45,000 to a $50,000 investment when equipped with a tracking device or a wristlet, an anklet to, let's just say, a person with Alzheimer's, a child with autism. When enacted, we put the drone up, can pinpoint this individual's location within minutes. Puts the family at ease, saves on manpower, just a home run either way.
So this drone can track somebody that you put a wristband on type of thing?
Absolutely. When they meet the criteria, when enacted, if this individual wanders away, if this child wanders away, we put the drone up, get our certified person to operate it, and literally within 3 to 5 feet, they'll tell us where this individual is.
That's fascinating. So will it be used for any other law enforcement purposes?
Unfortunately, when situations do arise, we can utilize the technology to, let's just say, search out a bad guy, get the surroundings of...
Track a car or something like that?
I don't know. I mean, I imagine we could follow it, I guess. We would probably look more a barricaded suspect, get out the lay of the land, forest, use the visual capabilities of the drone. But, I mean, the applications are unlimited.
So I walked outside my door one day and there was a drone there watching me pick up the newspaper.
Be careful.
What is that all about?
Be careful. That's one of your neighbors, probably.
I know. Can I shoot the
Absolutely.
drone down or what?
I don't know about that.
I don't have a gun, but
I don't know about that. But the technology is getting that sophisticated.
Why would they want to watch the mayor pick up his newspaper in the morning? I'm
I
trying
don't
to
know.
figure
Maybe they're trying to get something on you.
So the drone could be used for locating missing residents, but also law enforcement.
Sure.
So do you see yourself starting off with one or more than one of these?
I would say one for now. Train a couple people in it, see its capabilities, and from what we've heard through Monmouth County, Essex County, Morris County, it basically has a 100% success rate.
So Union County would start this, and it could benefit Union County. Do other counties have it, I guess, is what I'm going to ask.
Yes, Monmouth County has it. I believe Essex is in its initial phase, so yes. I mean, we'd probably mirror those programs, but like I said, the applications are enormous.
So the person has to get trained in this?
Yes.
They would operate it from inside your office type of thing?
Operated from like a central command post, and basically they would be responsible for it.
Now the SLAP program, changing gears a little bit here, Sheriff,
Sure.
Is under your office.
Yes.
A lot of viewers see these gentlemen out there with the word SLAP on it. Can you
Yes.
tell us what it stands for and how long it's been in existence?
This is the Sheriff's Labor Assistance Program. It was started by Sheriff Froelich back in '93. We're in our 25th year. The program, when utilized through the court system, low-level offenders, minor drug offenses, shopliftings, when the judge imposes a penalty on them, he can impose them to work at our, let's just say, labor force, saving towns money, doing jobs in your town, cleaning the streets.
Oh, we love it.
And please, anybody watching the program, contact the office. We have guys every day. We're looking to send these guys out and utilize their labor.
Yeah, they go up and down Elizabeth Avenue or Broad Street and clean up and.
Absolutely. I mean, saving your town workers to do different jobs with heavier equipment or it's a home run either way.
And most of these folks are just want to do something different because they're close to getting out, correct?
Yes, not so much getting out. If the judge feels that they're working, they have a job, they'll give us a couple days of their work week up until their sentence has been communicated out, 8 hours a day, 5 hours a day. Whenever their sentence is adjudicated, they come to our central locating point, and we drive them with a sheriff's officer, and we'll give them a task for the day: cleaning the street, moving, lightweight office furniture, something to relieve the town's workers, for them to do more, not meaningful things, but different things.
Heavier duty things, more trained in there.
Absolutely.
Was the SLAP program slowed up for a while, or is that still been? I know the winter you don't see them much, right?
It has. I'd like to have a conversation with our judiciary in the county and have the judges maybe impose more of a fine on these individuals, not monetary, but for their time. This way it benefits everyone. And
community policing. I know you're teaming up with municipalities for this initiative. You've been involved probably in community policing when you were in Hillside.
Absolutely.
Tell us about your efforts as sheriff and how you want to work with community policing for towns like not only Elizabeth, but some of the smaller ones in the county.
Again, any conversation we could start. I mean, you're well aware in Elizabeth we have a couple cars there a night, an A side, a B side, basically doing what the police do, making your town safe, trying to get the bad guys off the street.
And they're welcome not only in my town but in other towns. I mean, at night the sheriff's officers, but your role is also in the courts, correct? And that takes up a lot of your time with sheriff's officers.
We do. A major part of our day is making sure the judges are safe, making sure the individuals get to court, the bad guys, making sure our courts run smooth, we have no problems, and everybody's safe.
Do you work the magnometers on the way in and out of the courthouse as well?
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
Is that training for that, or you just kind of?
There is. I mean, after the academy, we train our personnel on finding stuff, the hidden compartments, and listen, there are some bad guys in this world, and it's our job to stop them and make sure our courts are safe in Union County.
Sheriff, the diversity program, you're working on different ethnicities. Tell our viewers on how you're doing it, and because Elizabeth and the County of Union, we really represent an awful lot of different ethnic groups.
We do. Our office now is comprised of about 15% minorities. We're trying to work on that and expand that. We have a couple programs where we'll give classes on taking the test, since we are a civil service department, learning how to take the test, applying yourself. We have a pre-academy now. We know the age of technology. These young women and young men aren't really geared up in, let's just say, the military aspect of the department. We'll give them a month course for them to see what to become a sheriff's officer really is. The rigorous physicality of it, the mental part of it, the marching, just the basic, paramilitary style, but more of an educational. So we'll give them a month course in how to, let's just say, cope with it.
So how many officers do you have? How many?
240 with
Really?
16 in the academy.
So there's 16 gonna.
16 coming on the force in June when they're done.
Good.
When they're done.
Is that about peak for you, or is it?
That is at our peak. We're had a couple retirees recently. We're going to backfill them when we can. So, we're at a complement.
So, Sheriff, addiction is a huge crisis. We've been watching this on television. You have a CLEAR program. You're working on the details. What are you doing for the CLEAR program?
The CLEAR program is community law enforcement addiction recovery. We've instituted a program where if anyone is addicted to the opioids, they could respond down to Plainfield, the Human Resource Building, over here in Elizabeth. When they come in, they need help. We'll provide them with a coach, as well as a counselor. Call down to one of our connecting hospitals where we get them a bed and start them on the education as well as the process to get them clean.
You work with us on Narcan and things like that if you find people in the streets?
We do. Unfortunately, it's becoming an epidemic. It starts with education, and that's going to be our push within the next year. Get out to these schools, inform these kids, educate them on what this stuff is doing to the public, and I mean, hopefully it starts to resonate because it's a major problem.
So Sheriff, tell us about the Max Challenge. You have a fitness program
We
for
do.
not only sheriff's officers but county employees.
We do. We hire an individual. We have the old juvenile facility next to your parking garage. Thank you. And what we do is we offer classes, fitness. We have a gym in there, yoga during their lunch break, after hours. It's for the Union County employees to, as well as the sheriff's officers, to utilize. A healthier employee is a better employee. It's more
I
productive.
couldn't agree with you more. Who sponsors the program? How does it get funded, or is it funded?
It's funded through the sheriff's office. Like I said, we hire an individual. She'll do everything from your nutrition to your body fat. She'll map out a diet for you. So I mean, if people want to utilize that, it's there for them to utilize.
So this is up to employees.
Absolutely.
And how do they get a hold of this program? Where do they find it?
They can call the office, 527-4450, 908-527-4450. We'll direct them to where they need to go.
So if someone wants more information about the sheriff's office or anything that you guys do,
Sure.
How would they go about getting a hold of you?
I would use the same number, ask for the program you're desire to know about, and we'll transfer you where we got to go.
Sheriff, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us on the show. I wish you well as your tenure as sheriff.
Thank you.
Look forward to working with you for the betterment of our community.
I had a good time, Mayor.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Thank you, sir.
Good to see you. I want to thank Sheriff Peter Corvelli for joining me on the show, and I want to thank Bill O'Day, the Executive Director of the Elizabeth Development Company. We'll see you next week on another edition of Our City, which proves to be a lot of fun because it's going to be about cooking and singing.
We're creating tomorrow's jobs today. Kane University.